ready to go during second hour. So let's see what happens for Casey Reiman, please.
All right. Thank you. So thank you for having me. Let's say it's Casey Reiman. This is my dog Obi. Obi is a live find search and rescue dog. So we're both members of our Arizona Task Force, which is our FEMA deployment team. So he's a live find, really just kind of specifically, he's trained just for like building collapses, things like that. That's what his bread and butter would be. But we could use him for anything locally too, missing hikers, all that kind of stuff. So, but I'm just going to kind of talk about, like I said, the fire department, kind of what I was doing before, how I got hired, the process, all that kind of stuff. A little bit about firefighting, what to expect if you tend to go that route. And then I'll get into the task force and search and rescue and so, that kind of thing. So like I said, any questions, feel free, fire away. So went to Apollo High School out on the west side, graduated in 2001, playing baseball, a couple years at South Mountain Community College. During the off season, I'd deliver furniture and doing service for Lazy Boy. Just kind of on the off season, and then once my baseball career was over, which tends to happen to a lot of people, just doing Lazy Boy full time. And then so at some point, you know, just like all of you guys, at some point you're just like, all right, what do I want to do with my life? What am I going to do? I got to make more money. So I kind of got into sales at Lazy Boy, and like I said, Mr. Hernandez will tell you I was the best person at Lazy Boy. That's why I'm still working there. I was a terrible salesperson. I hated it, but I was just doing it. Hey, I needed to do something with my life, right? So, so then you kind of have that sit down, like, what do I want to do with my life? What do I really want to do? My dad was a firefighter for 31 years in Phoenix, so I was like, I've been exposed to that a lot. I knew that's kind of what I wanted to do. So, while I was in sales, I started doing my EMT at Phoenix College. So it's usually about a 4 to 6 month class at community colleges, Mesa, PV, they all offer them. It is a requirement for any fire department to have your EMT. All of our fire trucks have 2 EMTs on them. Our ambulances have 1 EMT, 1 paramedic. So we have 2 EMTs, 2 paramedics on every fire truck, 1 EMT, 1 paramedic on every ambulance. So I was in sales with Lazy Boy still, doing the courses at Phoenix College. Once I got my EMT, I started working at Southwest Ambulance. That was my first real exposure to any kind of medical fire department type job. So wasn't too glorious, but it was very fun. It was a great experience for me. That's kind of where I started, was just with Southwest. And then while I was at Southwest, all right, let's start testing what I need to do to get hired by the fire department. So you have to be 18 years old, you have to have your EMT, and you have to have a CPAT, which is a candidate physical ability test, every 6 months. Those are offered at the community college as well. You just have to keep it up every 6 months. That's it for Phoenix. Some cities require a little bit more. I don't know, like whatever city that hires you, if you want to go this route, any city that hires you is the best city that you can get with. So some cities do require other things, like there's a fire science degree, Fire 1 and 2. There's affinity groups, a lot of different affinity groups. There's like Emerald Society and Bomberos and Valley Women's Firefighters, just a bunch of like-minded people that are trying to get hired. They can help you with interview questions and test prep and all that kind of stuff. You do a lot of smoke detector walks, a lot of community involvement type stuff. It just helps everyone kind of get involved. A lot of people, same type of people. Cadet program is kind of the same thing. The cadet program, however, you don't have to be 18 to do that. So that is something that you could do prior to being 18. The 1 and 2 is kind of like basically like a little mini academy where you learn everything that you would learn in the academy, kind of see where you're at physically as well. But this is just kind of what to expect if you want to get hired by a fire department or go that route in your life. Whenever you get there. If you do get hired, you go through a written test, and then you go through a physical, interviews, 2 rounds of interviews. And then if you do get hired, you go through a 12-week academy at a training academy, whether it's Phoenix or Mesa or Glendale or wherever you get hired by. The training academy is the most fun you'll ever have in your life that you never want to do again. That's kind of the best way we describe it. So just a bunch of friends having fun. You all got hired. You're all excited, having a good day, having a good time, and you're just so exhausted you never want to do it again. So that's kind of how we always describe it. But your first year after you get hired, you're like a probationary firefighter. So you got the 12 weeks at the academy, and then you do 3-month rotations at 3 separate stations. So you'll do 2 on an engine. The engines are the ones in the middle. They have all the water. They have all the hoses, put out the fire, and then you'll do 2 3-month stints on an engine, and then you do 1 3 months at a ladder, which ladder is kind of a utility truck. It cuts holes in the roofs and sends the ladder up to the roof, does kind of utility, makes things better for people fighting the fire. Very important. But so once you're done with all your rotation, you got your academy, your 3 months of 3 rotations, and you go back for final evaluations. If you pass your final evaluations, now you're officially a firefighter. So once you're done, that's all done. before you retire at some point, you have to do 200 shifts on a rescue, which is our ambulance. We call them rescues because we have 2 firefighters on them, so they're ambulances. We just have firefighters on them, so we call them rescues. So usually you do them right once you get done with your probationary year. Since you're young and you can handle getting up a lot, because we do transport a lot of people, so we tend to those guys on the ambulances tend to get beat up pretty good. So so you usually have to do your 200 shifts. Once you're done with your 200 shifts, now your beginning of your career is basically done. Now it's like, what do I want to do? Where do I want my career to go from here? So the options are there. You can do a paramedic. You can become a paramedic, which we do that through our department. We do take other cities as well. So like we'll have 2 people from Mesa or 2 people from Guadalupe or anything. Whoever needs to get paramedics trained, we offer it through the department. You can also do it through the community colleges as well. TRT, which is tactical rescue training, all the mountain rescues you see, or car goes into a canal, or confined space rescue, or something like that, where someone's trapped underground. That's all TRT stuff. You go through another like 15-week course while you're on the department already. And then hazmat's the same thing. It's another 15-week course while you're hired. They pay you to go on to like basically like a separate work schedule. You go to class, and then once you're done, now you're a hazmat or TRT tech, and that's kind of how that works. So just kind of another way, like you get a pay increase, and it's just another way for your career to go. ARF is another thing, which is aircraft rescue and firefighting. So all the people at the airport, the big, blow a tire on an airplane, or engines on fire and they land, they call. All these airport people are there and ready and waiting for that plane to get there. They have huge trucks with foam and all kinds of stuff. So just another type of firefighting. And then in general, just promoting. You can be an engineer, which is the person that drives the truck, pumps water to all the hoses. And then you have a captain, which is the front right seat. For most of our trucks, they're going to command and be responsible for all 4 of those people, making sure everyone goes home at the end of the day. Once you've been a captain for about I think it's actually 7 years, you can promote to chief, which is going to be, you're going to control an entire battalion of a group of trucks. We have 8 battalions, so one chief oversees all those stations and all those trucks. So your responsibility gets a lot bigger the more you promote. So I've been a paramedic for about 10 years now. So the paramedic course is about the same thing as the other ones. They all tend to be 15 weeks, so it's just kind of weird. But you come out of the field, learn how to do that. You do hospital rotations, and you have to go OB rotations. You do all kinds of, for obstetrics and delivering babies and everything. You have to do all kinds of different rotations. You learn about everything. Push all the drugs, do all the stuff. So as an EMT, you're just kind of like, you're the person that helps the paramedics. So now that I'm a paramedic, when I'm on a call, whatever happens with this patient, it's my call, my responsibility to make sure that we treat this patient like they're my family member. So we always just that's how I always treat every patient, is like, hey, you're my family member, how would I want my family member treated? So making sure they get the best possible care and get them to the hospital as fast as we can. So paramedics have been awesome for me. I love doing it. Right now I'm out of the field doing some mapping stuff with some tech stuff, so it's just another way that I've taken my career for building maps. So it's even like a map of a school like this, just where are we going, how do we get there? We don't have any clue if we don't have a map, so when an emergency does happen here, we want to know where to go. So I've been helping out getting maps made for certain buildings and stuff. So any questions with fire department, firefighting, anything like that, getting hired and that process? Yes. Difference between an EMT and a paramedic. So the EMT is just emergency medical technician, and you're paramedic, and you're the one that can do the drugs. You can read the heart monitor strips. So it's technically illegal for there's some like an EMT could give aspirin or something like that, but we have medications for like your heart if your heart stops. The EMTs are not allowed to do that. They can't start IVs. So there's just more skills that you have to learn. You do, like as a paramedic, as far as your career, you get a little pay increase on that, but you also have a lot more responsibility. You have a lot more liability too. If I do something wrong, I can get sued until, let's say, like a little kid that's 2 years old and something happened, I messed up, I gave too much of a medication. I can be sued and my family can get sued. Like, there's a lot of liability and responsibility on me. That's why I get a little pay increase. But as an EMT, you can't do that kind of thing. You can't give medications, you can't push drugs, stuff like that. So that's just kind of just really as far as the quality of what you can do. There's all kinds of different stuff. Like, then if you go from paramedic, you go to like, being a nurse or then a doctor, it just kind of starts going up. So that's just how much we're trained, and then also pay increase for us if we want to do it. So good question though. Anything else? You're here?
Is there anything like above chief you get promoted?
So there's different ranks of chief. Is there anything above chief? So there's different ranks of chief. So once you go from being a captain to a chief, you're basically either, if you're out in the field managing the people that are on the trucks, you're a battalion chief. When you go into like like say you go down to the warehouse or something and you're managing all like the resources, like the station supplies that are going out, now you're considered like a division chief. But then after that, you go to assistant chief, or deputy chief, excuse me. Deputies oversee all the battalion and division chiefs. Then from there you promote again. Like you just keep promoting. The farthest you can go is fire chief. There's only one fire chief. So there's one fire chief we have, and he's Mike Duran, and after that, underneath him is like assistant chiefs who oversee all the division chiefs, and just kind of like a big pyramid of hierarchy, and that's kind of like the military, just the one person that oversees this, and it branches out as it goes down. So yeah, a lot of different ranks of chief after that, and fire chief is the highest you could get. So
a question, but you said
yes.
When you were on fire call, you go on a fire, you have 2 paramedics, 2
EMTs technically.
And so when you take, how many people are on a fire truck total then?
4. So we have 4 total, which is technically required by the standard, national standards, kind of required. So it doesn't matter. We have an engineer, we have a captain, and we have 2 firefighters in the back. And who's a paramedic, who's an EMT, doesn't matter. We just have to have 2 of each. So it doesn't matter who's where or what is where. We have 4 total, and then 2 on all the ambulances. So yes.
Do the paramedics still have to wear like a full firefighter?
Yes.
Repeat the question.
So so if I'm a paramedic, do I still have to do everything else? So no matter what you do, like I can be a paramedic, I can be TRT certified, hazmat certified, ARF certified. If I'm at my station and we get a house fire, I'm still a firefighter first and foremost. So I'm still getting my turnouts on, going into the fire, just like the fire they had from the very beginning. That was my helmet cam. So I have a little helmet cam. I record all my fires. The station I was at, I have a probationary firefighter. So once you get out of the academy, those 3 stations, my truck was one of the stations, so I always have probationary firefighters with me, which is great because I like training them. But I would always have the video, and then once they're done with their 3 months, I would give them the videos and pictures and stuff, and it's kind of something cool to keep on your career. But yes, you're always a firefighter first, and then you can be a paramedic. But there are times with fires where you go from firefighting mode to paramedic mode. Like we go into a house fire, right once we get into a door, it's happened a few times, there's a patient right there on the ground. So 99 times out of 100, fire doesn't kill people, it's smoke. So people try to get out of their house and they start getting disoriented. Usually very common place we find them is behind doors, because they try to get there, they can't remember how to open a door, or they fall down behind a door. So that's usually where we find them. So if I go into a house, break the front door down, I see a person there, get that person out. Now, do I leave that person there? Like, no, I'm a paramedic, I better start taking my turnouts off and start helping that person. So now the next crew that comes in, they're going to try to go find more people. So it's always finding people first, and then we'll put the fire out. So it's always so that you can kind of go from firefighting mode to paramedic mode pretty quick. So if you find someone. So good question. Anything else? Yes.
How many fire trucks are usually at one site?
Fire trucks at one site, or it's like a station or like a call?
Like a call.
A call, so like every fire, so how many fire apparatus are at a call? So every call is a little different. When a fire, so if you call and say, hey, my house is on fire, we'll send 3 fire engines, a ladder, an ambulance, and a chief. And then once they get there, or if multiple people are calling and say, hey, the house across my street is on fire, like it's going. Cool, we'll balance it. We'll balance it. That just means we're gonna send more because it's for sure going. Lots of times we'll get, hey, my house is on fire, or this house has some smoke coming out of it, it's on fire. We'll still send the same amount, but we get there and it's like, hey, that person put some food on the stove and then took off, and it's just smoke. It's like food on the stove. We literally go in the house, take the pot, put it outside, call's done. Like, so it'd be something like that. So we don't want too many people coming. So we usually send those for that first assignment. Once it's for sure going, then we send more, and we'll just keep sending more. You get like a Safeway or an Amazon on fire, now we're gonna have like 100 fire trucks there. Like it just starts getting bigger and bigger as the call gets bigger. But yeah, it's usually initially it's just 3 engines, a ladder, and then an ambulance is what we send out initially. So, and then every station's a little different. Some stations have 2 trucks, some stations have 4 trucks. So it kind of depends on what station, what type of station, how big it is. So, anything else? That's also another one. From there. Oh, there.
What's your craziest situation you've ever been in?
Crazy? Oh gosh, I don't know. Craziest situation I've ever been. That's always what every firefighter gets. I don't know. I mean, you kind of, it's kind of a sad thing. Like you kind of turn yourself off a little bit, because you have, like, for me, it's, my mentality is always, I didn't cause what happened. I'm just here to help. Bad things happen all the time, unfortunately. I've been trained to help out and hopefully make things better. That's kind of my job. So things with kids always suck. Having kids, I have a 9 and an 11-year-old. It's not necessarily the kids. It's just the fact, like, the environment sucks. Like if something, like a little kid in your family got hurt or wasn't breathing, drowning, something like that, everyone is going absolutely crazy. Like I work out in Maryville, so it's very high Hispanic kind of area of town where you have like the big parties. Like they throw the hugest parties, the best food. They have the big bounce houses. There's like 50 people at the house, and then like a kid gets lost and they find him in the pool. Like it's absolutely chaotic scene. So I've been on quite a few of those. Those are unfortunately not very fun. The best thing we can do, what I always do, is just grab the kid and take off. Like I just do not want to be in that situation. Everyone's screaming, maybe people drinking a little bit. It's a very chaotic situation. So we try to take the kid and go as fast as we can. So those are always really the worst things that I go on. Stuff that's like gruesome, that kind of stuff doesn't really bother me. The gruesome stuff doesn't usually kill people. It's always ABCs that kill people, like your airway, your breathing, circulation. So if they're mangled, they don't look very good, that's not going to kill them. It's the breathing that's always going to kill them. So we always ABC first anytime we do anything, and then just the other stuff a surgeon can deal with that stuff. So that kind of stuff doesn't really bother me anymore, which I guess, I know, and my wife says I'm kind of cold now and heartless a little bit with stuff. It's just how it goes when you see stuff for 16 years. You just kind of, it's not that we don't care, it's just you just get so used to it, and you got to, right after we're done with that nasty call, we got to go right on someone having a heart attack. Like we got to just get right back into the mode. So I try not to let stuff bother me too much, but I say so anything with kids are probably the worst thing that we have to go on. So, yes, sir.
What was the most firefighters needed during your call?
The most needed, actually, like 2 years ago, we had it was just a big pallet recycle fire in the middle of the summer. It ended up being so every time we balance something, we send those 3 engines, the ladder, the ambulance goes out first. We balance it, that means we want the same thing like times 2. So they send 6 engines, 2 ladders, they send more. So we actually had 6 alarms. So every time you balance it, once I balance it once, it's the first alarm, then a second alarm, third alarm, it keeps getting bigger and bigger. So we had a 6 alarm, which is the biggest one we've ever had here, but it wasn't really because everything was dangerous. It was just because it was so hot and we have to just kind of recycle and move people around and get them out of the heat and stuff. It was just really a manpower situation. We just needed a lot of people there so that we can rotate people out, and people you'd go out in the sun, you're in your turnouts, you got 70 pounds of equipment out, you start kind of getting a little whoop whoop whoop, doing that kind of thing, a little dance to it. You're like, hey, let's go sit down, get all your gear off, relax, maybe we have to transport you to the hospital, get you some fluids, that kind of stuff. We need more people, go ahead and send us another alarm or whatever. So that's kind of how it works with us. So, but yeah, 6 alarm, it's about 150 firefighters on one scene, so a lot. We've meshed with all the cities too. We have, doesn't matter if we're right on the border of Peoria or Glendale, whoever's closest is going, it doesn't matter. So, anything else to do? Anything else good? Good?
Any other
Good.
questions on the AMT, fire paramedic?
Anything? Yeah. Oh, right first.
When you were younger, did you ever think you'd be where you are today?
I did at some point. Obviously, when you're younger, you want to, you'd be an astronaut or a baseball player. So I was always just baseball. I love baseball, play baseball. But like I said, my dad was a firefighter since I could remember. So I was always riding along at the stations. I just kind of got embedded in me. Like I knew at some point I would go do it.
Firefighter too?
I have a brother and a brother-in-law. They're all in Phoenix Firefighter. So it's got a lot of nepotism. But there's a lot of firefighters. But it's just you get paid to stay in shape. You get paid to see the kind of stuff, run into fires and do that kind of stuff. Like it's awesome. So you just find something you love doing. It's like this. I get paid for this stuff. And now I'm working on computers and maps. Like I've always been a geography, mapping kind of nerd like that. I love that stuff and computers. So this just made sense to me. They asked me to come out and the field and run this program. I'm like, sure. So now I'm on a 40-hour week and I sleep in my bed at night, get some sleep. That's kind of, sleep deprivation is a big thing that just sucks. Sometimes you're up, you don't sleep at all. So you're there for 24 hours. Hopefully you get a nap during the day. We usually try to sleep between like 1 and 4, but sometimes you get calls. There's nothing you can do about it. Try to go to bed early, and then you're just up all night. Some stations run 30 calls a shift, and it's just absolutely insane, nuts. That's a ton of something that comes with it a lot too. But that's it. So anything? What you got?
How hard is it to start out as an EMT?
Start out as an EMT. Not too tough. It's really just kind of the experience thing. You learn all the skills, and then it's even the same thing as a paramedic. You'll learn all this, or even a firefighter. You learn like the approved way to do it, and then when you get out in the field, and they're like, you usually have someone that mentors you or something. They're like, yeah, we don't do it like that. That's not how we do it. We have a way to do it in the field. So you learn it like by the book how it's supposed to be done, and then you get out in the field and you realize it's not really like that. It's like a little like, hey, we want to do this safely, but we also have report of a victim or someone coming by with a gun. Like maybe we have to do this on the run. Let's go. So you kind of improvise on some things for your own safety and stuff, but as an EMT, you just have to just buy the book, learn everything, how you do it, and then once you get in the field, you're kind of basically taught the field way is how to do it. So not too tough, but the class can be, there's just like any other class, you just got to memorize things and then test, and then you do like a hands-on skills test, stuff like that. So not too tough as far as the class, but once you get in, you're kind of learning something new on the back end with everything, with paramedic and firefighting too. So, but not too difficult. But I always liked being an EMT because I liked helping. I liked helping the paramedics, but at the same time, it kind of limits what you can do. Like I don't have full control of the call or what happens to this patient. You're just kind of like, I'm like Johnny on the spot with the medics, helping them out, start the IVs, do anything that I can do. But in the long run, it's always the paramedics. That's what kind of drove me to be a paramedic over the EMT, because I wanted that control to be able to be like, hey, no, like someone's like, no, we're not taking her to the hospital. Like, no, we can't do that. Like, hey, she wants to go, let's take her. Like, this is my sister, my mom, she wants to go, let's take her. So like sometimes people kind of get down that path of not doing what's best, and I don't like that. So that's what got me to paramedic too. So anyone else? Are you guys good? I'll get into search and rescue stuff if you guys want that. Okay, perfect. So, so if you are hazmat, TRT, if you go that route with a fire department, with Phoenix, after a little bit you can elect to become part of the task force, which has TRT, hazmat, there's communication aspect of it. Anytime we go out, we always have this kind of stuff. Technology is always our friend, because when we go out to wildfires or hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes, the landscape does not look the same as it does on your phone. Like all the buildings are gone. You're like, hey, what the heck was that? That's a church. Oh my gosh. So we're always using GPS. So our communications is always the first thing that goes up. So this is our task force here. This is a hurricane deployment. And then so since it's a hurricane, more water, obviously. So we bring all our boats. We go on earthquakes, tornadoes. We're not really using boats. We're bringing more of the gear for rescuing people, moving stuff around, that kind of. So it just depends what type of stuff we're going on. We always bring our 4 live find dogs, and then we bring up however many human remains dogs that we need as well. We do weekly trainings with our dogs. We have a big training rebel pile. We hide for each other's dogs. We bring as many people out as we can. The more our dogs can smell, the better. So you guys, anyone ever wants to do that, you're more than welcome to come out to our training academy. We respond to local stuff and we respond to federal stuff. We're one of 28 teams in the country. California has 8 teams. Florida has 2. Virginia has 2. Everyone else is just kind of scattered one team. And we're just based off wherever something happens. A hurricane comes into Florida. Those little areas, Tennessee, Florida, they're going to get deployed first because they're right there. And then it goes off a rotation after that, whoever's next. So whenever we get to like first or second, then we might be going to Florida for a hurricane because it's our turn in the rotation. So, so we get deployed, then we bring all this gear, all these boats, whatever we're needed. So Arizona Search Dogs, this nonprofit that technically owns the dogs, and then everyone that has a dog is a firefighter. Everyone that's within Arizona Search Dog is a firefighter, and so we don't have any kind of overhead costs. It's just everything that gets donated to Arizona Search Dog goes to our dogs. So our dogs are we usually get retired like 8 to 10 years, but everything is paid for by the Arizona Search Dog. So everything that gets donated to them is paid for by them. So all their vet bills, their food, you name it, anything they need, any kind of equipment, it's all paid for through them. So we have 13 dogs. We have 4 human remains dogs and 9 live find dogs. Just some of our deployments, the Oregon wildfires, some of the hurricanes is Katrina, Harvey, Ida, the New Mexico wildfires that just happened in May of this year in Ruidoso, New Mexico. And then the Phoenix building collapse, which was the end of July here. We went to all that stuff. All those dogs have their own little pages on Instagram if you guys want to follow them. We put little training videos and stuff on there. You can always type in Arizona Search Dogs, or then they have AZ Search Dogs and then like their name. So you can always type those in if you ever want to follow a dog. So this is Obi. Obi's 6 years old. He's a Labrador Retriever. All of our dogs are labs. They're very high play drive, which is why we like the labs. They just can go out and they just want to find. This is our rubble pile here. It's kind of what it looks like. 10,000 square feet of just concrete and trees and cars and buses. The most nasty place you can think of. There's just dirt everywhere. It's just very dirty area. But that's where what reality is like. So our dogs can clear this pile in about 4 to 5 minutes. All of our dogs. We'll hide underneath this stuff and they'll find us. It's amazing to watch them work. So there's Obi and Moxie. Moxie is another one of our dogs here, and this is kind of just an example of something we do with our dogs. We have those little booties for when it's hot outside and the dogs, so they don't have to walk on the concrete. When we go into places with like hot ash or glass or shards of metal, stuff like that, we'll put a little coating, like little just like a little cotton pad over their paw, and then we wrap that, and then we wrap that wrap with duct tape. So it sounds like a little horse galloping around when they're in it, but it keeps their pads from getting torn up. So once they tear up a pad, then they're pretty much useless until that pad heals. So just kind of something we use besides the technology and stuff. So, the Obi. So I got Obi from in Philadelphia. There's a place with the University of Pennsylvania called Penn Vet Working Dog Center. They do everything there, from all the search and rescues, the police dogs, bite dogs, all that kind of stuff. They do cancer detection for for humans, excuse me. They're doing cervical cancer detection. They do like antiquities, like stuff people smuggling like old stuff out of, all the clay that they used to make pots with back like 10,000 years ago. The people try to smuggle that around, so they'll use that to smell that clay that's in those things. So it's amazing what they can smell. So very, very amazing. And there's a Netflix series right now called The Mind of a Dog. It's a great thing. There's some of the people from Penn Vet are actually on that thing. It's a great little documentary. There's one on cats too, but I don't want to watch that one.
Cats.
I don't want to watch cats. Okay, so this is New Mexico. We just went there in May. Sent 2 live fine, 2 HR dogs for here. This is basically what we would go into. Like, we just say, hey, this is your little grid. We want you to go over here. There should be 9 houses roughly in that area. And that's what we go and we find. And then we send our live fine dog. No live fine, then we send our HR dog, and then hopefully they get a hit. If they don't, they don't. Then we just move on to the next house and say, nothing was found at this one. We go to the next one. Keep going, just keep searching and keep searching. Kind of keep an eye on Obi. That's my job, is to keep an eye on him, make sure he's not getting hurt, make sure he's not getting tired. He'll run until he passes out, so I got to keep an eye on that. Watch his tongue. His tongue will kind of be our first cue. It gets really wide, and then it starts flopping to the side. And then he'll start, we call it shade hunting or shade diving. Even if it's 30 degrees, he'll start running to the shade. That's just a sign that he's getting overheated. So that's my job. He does 99% of the work. I'm just there to kind of keep an eye on him and make sure he's searching where he needs to search, and he's not getting hurt, and he's not getting dehydrated or anything. Go say hi. Go say hi. So that's my job, just kind of that. So we'll keep going house by house. If we don't find anything, we'll actually like set up little things so that they do find something. We want them to find stuff, and kind of keeps their confidence up high. Believe it or not, they just keep not finding. They start getting frustrated, and they'll just start barking randomly at something. We don't want them to do that. So if we're looking for live people, I'll go hide once we're cleared it, I'll go lay down and hide in there so that they find something, and they get excited. They get to play. It's just a big hide and go seek game for them. They don't know that they're playing. They just think they're playing. They don't know that they're working. So we'll go. This was the building collapse we just had in July, so you can kind of see the environment we're in and what we're dealing with. Very complicated stuff everywhere, pallets everywhere. There's everything. The roof fell down, the walls fell down. Like, it was an absolute mess. So it was raining still when they first got there. The live find dogs, they send them in first. We always want to try to find live people first. They went in there, alerted in a certain area where that person was actually at. But the dogs got back there, but we could not get back there. So it's like, now we need to start clearing the way so that we can safely get back there. So we start working, clearing debris, clearing everything we need to clear. This is kind of how it goes. Just try to make a path to where we can get there. And then we got to start moving those racks, those pallets, so we don't become a victim ourselves. We don't want to make it worse. So we would send the live find dogs in again, make sure it's still good. Okay, keep clearing stuff. And we did that 12-hour rotations, just keep on and off, just keep searching, and then clear, search and clear, search and clear. Just kept doing that until we could safely get back where they're at. Eventually, once it's been a couple of days now we send our live find dogs in. Now all of a sudden they're not alerting anymore. So we send our human remains dogs in. They start alerting. So at some point, trying to get back to that person, they passed away. Kind of a bad scenario, but nothing we can do. Our main thing is we don't want to get hurt. We don't want to get injured going back there. Some of these racks fall on us, so we got to do it safely. Dogs can get to the person, but we couldn't. So unfortunately, just a bad outcome for this one. But our dogs, from a dog standpoint, handler, they did great. They all alerted in the right area. They were all correct. Their training was great. So that's kind of the only positive for our side. Just a bad result in the end with this, but it's pretty much that. This is just some of the kind of different trainings we do. In Florida, they had a last hurricane in Florida that we went to. There's a lot of, just like in California, there's a lot of little islands off the coast of Florida, and we can only get to them by helicopter. So some of the dogs that were there would not get on the helicopters. It was too scary for them. So they only had like two dogs out of like 30 that would get on the helicopters. So we heard that story. We weren't there. We didn't have our dogs there. We heard that story. So we're like, all right, let's go get on the helicopters and start training for that. So we try to expose our dogs to as much as we can. So we had another firefighter that's a member of the National Guard out of Papago, and they let us go out there and get on the Blackhawks and get on with no motor running, with the motor running, and it was great. We had little ear protection for the dogs, little doggles, they're called, for a little eye protection for the dogs, and then that's kind of all of us crammed in the top middle, just all of us crammed in the back of a Blackhawk, mounted up. We had, I think we had all these dogs right here, we all fit one time, so it's just a whole crowded Blackhawk with a bunch of dogs, and we have little harnesses, we can mount them, like secure them down to the Blackhawks so they don't jump out of the helicopter or anything.
The goggles?
The doggles, yeah, they have little doggles we'll wear on some of this guy's actually wearing them right here. He's got little doggles on, they're called. And then we have ear protection for him. So, but they hear a lot better than us, they see a lot better than us, they smell a lot better than us. So we try to protect their ears especially. But this is kind of out of the boat, Lake Pleasant. This is Elvis, the dog's name is Elvis. This is just kind of just getting them on boats, just get them exposed to as much as we possibly can. We take him to the station with us. This is Elvis just eating the wake as we're driving. He just was chomping at the wake as he was going. So that's about it. Any questions with search dogs, task force, search and rescue? What you got? Good question. So Penn Vet Working Dog Center, they name all their dogs that we get from them. They name them after something to do with 9/11, whether it's a victim or first responder that died or a first responder that just helped. OB is named after another dog that was there, a Human Remains dog that was there. We have a dog, for instance, named Jewel. Her name's actually like a capital J, capital U, and then an EL, and it was like a John U, and then his last name was like Elwood or something like that. So it was like the word J-U-E-L came in. So they're all named after something to do with 9/11. So good question. Very good. Yes.
Could you repeat the question?
How was that? Like? How do they alert? So they do what we call how do they alert when they find someone? So so they do what's called like a focused bark. So they just sit there. Like some dogs will sit. That's their notification that they found something, like drug dogs. But OB, we want them to be loud and we want them to not leave the victim. That's our most important thing. So if they go find someone, we want them to stay there. We don't want them finding you and then running away. And now we try to like, oh shoot, where was he barking? I have no clue. So we go and we want him to bark, and he just sits there and barks and barks and barks and barks. When we do our training on the pile, you bark and bark and bark until, like, let's say I'm hiding under this little tube here. He barks and barks maybe 10, 5, 20, however many times, kind of vary it, mix it up. And then once he gets to a certain point, then I'll just jump out and start playing tug of war with him. That's what he's finding. So we mix that up too. Like if he just barks once and I reward him, then the next time he comes back, he barks once, I reward him. Now I'm training him to just bark once and he gets a reward. So he'll run to you, bark once, and just sit there. So that's what we do. So we can sometimes train dogs bad habits by accidentally not thinking like that. So we try to mix everything up for them. So, but it's kind of another thing with this tube too. Like if I were to hide in here, like say I'm down here, this tube goes all the way down here. If I'm hiding right here, OB might be alerting way up here at the top because the air is coming, whichever direction the air is coming, and it's blowing my scent all the way out this tube or all the way on the other side of the pile. So he might be 30, 40, 50 feet away from me, but he's right, he smells me, so he goes where whatever he can see and he can't smell, or sorry, he can smell and he can't see, that's what he's looking for, and then he's gonna go wherever that scent is the best, the strongest, and then he's gonna start alerting. So it might be 30, 40 feet away from me, but he's right, so as a handler, I would just go to that area, I would mark it with like a flag or something, and then we would end up sending another dog over there to confirm, yep, okay, there's someone down here, call out for them, they don't respond. Now, but we know their person's alive, now we can call our tactical rescue teams and they can come and start moving debris and trying to get down to that person. So that's just where their job is to find stuff. If I were to find someone, I'm not gonna give them anything, I'm not gonna give them water, I'm not gonna do anything, like no medical treatment, I'm not gonna rescue them. My job is to find them and then call the tactical rescue teams, and they're gonna come out with all their, they have forklifts and they have all these different equipment to get all this stuff out of there. So that's all our job is strictly is just to find people. So, anything else? Oh, yeah.
Whenever Obi retires, does he get to
Does Obi live with me when he retired? Yep, he lives with me right now. So I've had him since the first day I picked him up, he's been with me. I take him to the fire station when I was at the fire station, I take him there. The first day I got there, it was always like if we got a fire, usually if you ever seen it at a firehouse, like everyone takes off. So I didn't want to like take off, and then I've had a couple times where I get back, we're driving in with the fire truck, and then I see Obi running around the parking lot, I'm like, oh my God, crap. So I just start training him, so every time our light bar comes on, it'll just say like, I was at station 44, it would just say E44. If a fire kicks sticks out. We have 2 trucks there, like it scrolls like a little marquee. So it'd be like E44, and then we had a squad there, it was so SQ44. So whenever the light bar came on, no matter who got a call, I'd always be like, all right, let's go, and I'd run him back to his kennel, back in my room. So now anytime we're at the station, anytime a light bar comes on, he takes off and goes and gets in his kennel. So now all I have to do is go run and just close the door and we're good. So just kind of something I had to train him on when I got to the station so that I didn't lose him in the neighborhood or something like that. So good question, that was it. But
Can you talk about the nose of a dog, how he smells?
yes, so the dogs have little slits on the side. You always see them on the side of the dog, so they can actually exhale and still have air in their nasal area. So it's kind of something with dogs they can actually kind of exhale and inhale at the same time, which allows them to hold scent and track stuff. Different dogs are better for different type of tracking, like bloodhounds, things like that. They do like, hey, here's a shirt, go find the patient or the victim. They can do that. These guys are more like they're just trying to smell and you'll see them kind of running like with their nose up. They're just trying to find what they can smell and they can't see. So we could all be on this pile, every single one of us, and they're not going to bark at any one of you guys. They can see you, they can smell you, they'll move on to what they can smell and they can't see. That's kind of what their whole job is. So you'll have every single one of you guys on here, and they'll find that one person that they can't find that's missing under the pile. That's just, it's amazing to watch them work. So they kind of go over that in that little Netflix documentary too. It's really cool. So they go over all that kind of stuff with what they do. So he,
Figure 8?
yeah. So like I said, he's from the Penn Vet Working Dog Center. So from the first, so from 8 weeks old to the year old, every single day, Monday through Friday, he is working and training obedience, search and rescue. They do something called husbandry, which is like everything that they would encounter at the vet, like getting your nails, your ears, your eyes, anything to play with. Getting a haircut, so they have a little hair trimmer, like with no blade, and they just kind of rub it so they don't freak out. They'll do little pinches, and like pinches skin kind of simulate like getting a shot, so he doesn't freak out or anything like that. So they do that every single day. They do a fit to work program, which is like exercising, staying in shape, stretching, doing that kind of stuff, and it's all just geared. They don't even realize they're doing it. They're having fun, but they're also stretching and like working on their core and their legs and everything like that. So he's got some things he still does. So this is his little toy that he likes. It's called a Chuck It, and I put a rope on it so he can tug and go crazy. Yes. So yes is like his release word. I'm telling him, yes, it's okay. So it's okay to eat. If he tugs with you ever, just careful, he might pull you. He can tug really hard. So yes, so that's kind of means he's okay, he can take it. So one of the things we do, out, good, out, thank you. So we can do like a fit to work thing. So we'll do like a figure 8 through my legs, and he's basically like working on his sides and bending and flexibility with his sides. He thinks he's playing, but he's actually stretching and doing stuff. So I just say, 8s, 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 yes. And then once he's done a good job, I say yes, and he gets his toy. So it's all positive reinforcement. It's all with a toy or with like, we don't give treats, we just give him his normal food. So I have his little kibble here. It's the same thing. I just, as he's doing something, he does something right. And he does what I want to do. As he's doing it, I say, good, good. I want him to keep doing what he's doing. He's doing the right thing. It's good boy, good boy. And then I say, sit. Good boy, yes. And then I can play with him, reward him for that. So everything's always positive reinforcement, either with a toy or with his own food. Out. So anytime I take the toy from him or his toy, I always make sure I give it back to him. So if he finds someone, we always want him to play with that victim a lot. Yes. And then once he comes back to me, he brings his toy. And so once he comes to me, I don't want to just take the toy out and have him go find someone else, because now he associates me with taking the toy from him. So I always make sure I play with him and give it back to him. And I want him to think that me as a fun interaction too. Out. Good. Out. Yes. Good. So I always want to kind of make sure that I give it back to him always. Out. Sit. Wait. Wait. Down. Down. Wait. Leave it. Leave it. Yes. Good. So he's kind of just keep enforcing that and just working on stuff. And then he did something I liked. He got his reward and that. So it's all just positive reinforcement with it. Out. Good. Out. Yes. So that's kind of all we do with him. So any questions with that stuff? Obedience, that kind of dog stuff? I wish I realized I didn't know a lot about dogs until I went and picked him up, and I realized how bad of a dog owner I was with, like, I have a Shepherd and a Chihuahua at home as well. And they're both just, they don't like each other. They're just, I feel so bad. He's such a smart dog, good dog, and it seems so easy to train him. But I also don't have every day, Monday through Friday, to train my dog 10 hours a day too. So that's why we get him from Penn Vet, because everything's already done. We get the dogs and they're trained, they're ready to go. And he's, like I said, best dog I've ever had. He's very smart. So just be careful if you tug with him, because he tugs hard. So I just don't want him tugging any with shoulders out of socket or anything. So He'll like just nonstop. This is like where me watching him, keeping an eye on him comes in. It's just making sure he's not getting overheated. He's not getting overused. He'll just keep doing this. He'll let you throw the ball with him all day long until he passes out. So I just got to keep an eye on him. Then another thing I didn't know about dogs, which I learned, hey, come here, Obi, down. So we try to do like emergency downs. We do that like if I see him running on a pile and he's getting ready to jump over into something bad, then I can just yell out, go get him, go say hi. And when he comes back, Obi, down. Like I want him to get down right now within a few steps. We want him to get down as fast as we can. It's kind of like an emergency down. We use a lot of hand signals because as he gets older and he starts losing his hearing, we want him to be able to know what we're doing, whether it's sit. So we do sit, we do down, that kind of stuff. So we teach them with the hand signals so that way when they do lose this stuff. But I have a couple kids at home. I have, like say, 11 and 9-year-old. He was playing. He loves the pool. Absolutely loves the pool. So we had a little like kid party all day thing, like 10 o'clock till like 8 o'clock at night. He was swimming all day long, and then he came inside, had his tail tucked underneath him, and his tail's always like that normally, and it was tucked down underneath him, so I went and touched it, screamed out loud, didn't know what the heck was going on, like, whoa, what's going on? So called the vet, and they're like, yeah, he's probably got swimmer's tail. I'm like, what? Like, that's not a thing, that can't be a thing. So he had right where his tail gets, like right above his butt there, he had like a little knot, and it was just from being in the pool and the resistance all day long, he had a big old knot, and it hurt for him to wag his tail. So he couldn't wag his tail, he couldn't sit down for like a week. So I thought they were joking with me, but just something I learned, just kind of me watching now, I just got to kind of monitor his pool time and how much he's swimming and stuff. So is that anything else? What you got right there?
Besides the lab, what about
We have all labs for us. We prefer them just because their play drive is so high. We want them to want to go search, be able to go search out on their own a little bit, not have to, you get your German Shepherds, your Malinois, stuff like that. They are very handler oriented, so they might go search to the top of the stairs, and then they're going to turn around and look at me and see what I'm doing because they want to protect me. Whereas the labs are kind of, we always say they're smart enough, but also they're kind of dumb too, that they'll just go run and play and have fun. So they have a very high play drive. Oh, sorry about it. Get slobbered. So they have a very high play drive, and but I've seen search dogs of a lot of different breeds too. So there's been a lot of different breeds. You can pretty much teach different dogs. All right, all done. Come here. Hey, all done. All done. Out. Good, out. Thank you, buddy. All done. Go get a drink. Go get a drink. All done. Go get a drink. All done. So I say all done, and he goes. Go get a drink.
Does anybody have any other questions?
So anything else you got? Or?
Paramedics, search and rescue, we have about 3-4 minutes.
The biggest thing he's been on? Geez. It's really just been local stuff. We just kind of looked for like a missing hiker, that guy that went out. Had like a mental illness type thing, went out in the desert. We kind of had an area. If we know exactly like an area, a specific area where someone's at, we'll send a dog, whether we expect to find a live person or a dead person, but we just don't like, hey, someone went out, we think they're out here in the desert somewhere. Like we don't want to just send dogs out that way. We're not like, as opposed to like a hound, like a bloodhound or something, track that kind of thing. Because our dogs, they're just 100% all the time. There's no half with them. So they're just running 100%. They'll wear themselves out. There's rattlesnakes and cactus and all that kind of stuff. So we've had a few things where just missing hikers we've been on, but other than that, anytime we get deployed as a team, we always have like a breakdown, and so we learn from all the other handlers too, like, hey, this is what we did well, this is what we didn't, we can improve on. So different situations, different scenarios. So we really, that way, because we're technically, me and then Obi and Moxie are actually the next two to get deployed, so we should be on the next thing that goes out. Unfortunately, same kind of thing like firefighting, and it's just bad things are going to happen. We're just hopefully that will help. I don't even care about getting paid. I just want to go see him work. Like we train all the time. I want to go see him work. So I'd love to just go watch him work and search. So yes, sir. Oh, sorry. I didn't. Not sir. I didn't mean to call you. I apologize.
Why don't you go first?
Me?
Yeah, go.
Okay, so the different dogs change for remains and then live?
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah. So human remains, and then we have live find. So we always send live find in first. We only train them for one or the other. That way we can train them for both, but then you don't know what they're barking for. So we want to send the live find in first, find people that are alive that can be saved, and then after a while we send in the human remains dogs and cadaver dogs, whatever. Yes.
How long did it take to train?
How long what?
How long did it take to train Obi?
Oh, so he was, usually it's from 8 weeks old at Penn Vet. They train him from 8 weeks to 1 year. And so he had 8 other litter mates, and they all kind of went at different places. One went to Canada, one went to New York, New Jersey, one went to Colorado. So they all kind of get scattered. You basically just go there, see the litter, pick which one you like. We have Boomer, who's his brother. One of his brothers is with us too as an HR dog. And then Boomer was kind of the big one, the good sized one with that litter of him. Obi was the runt actually. So they liked Boomer. So Boomer actually got sent back to go like stud out another litter. So that's why they kind of, so we ended up getting Jewel, which is one of the Boomer's litter. So that's kind of, we have two brothers and then a niece, and we have another Moxie, and then Elvis, the one that was on the boat at the very end. They're litter mates too, even though they look nothing alike. One's yellow, one's black. Then Elvis is just a monster, absolute monster. So, but it's from the 8 weeks to 1 year, and then now we just train every week too. So, kind of just maintain stuff. So. Good.
Any other questions?
Good.
All right, so we have about like a minute and a half, actually a little over a minute left. Thank you all for your time. Please give Casey a round of applause.
Yeah. Thank you. Good job, buddy.